What is up, Fanatics? It's 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means another episode of Home Theater Fanatics Live. Tonight, we're joined by two men, two giants of industry that have humbled themselves by coming on this lowly show. They remember the little people, and they come back to embrace us from time to time, and they are here today with us to give us a little bit of their wisdom and love. And I'm talking about Brett Bjorquist and Joey Peacock. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Wow. You can't ask for much more of a intro than that, can you, Joey?
I'm telling you.
Titans of industry. Yeah. I'm telling you.
Titans. There we go.
It's Brett and Joey, man.
That's right.
Now, so as Hi-Fi Haven says, Joey, our own legendary celebrity.
Oh my goodness.
Dun, dun. Double A says, hey,
Double A.
BB.
What's going on?
Baby and Joey. What's up? That's so cute.
Hey, guys.
And who makes Tuesday feel like Friday? Gisela does. That's right. Okay, so now it's true that you guys are very well known, but there might be one or two people out in the world that aren't familiar with you and might not know the newest of happenings in Brett and Joey world. So I think to kick things off, we'll just let you guys do a quick introduction of who you are and why people should care, and then a little self-promotion, talk about what's going on these days, because there's new stuff for both of you, and I'm curious to hear how things are going. And since Brett, you ended up on top of my screen for no particular reason, you get to go first. So what's up, Brett?
It's a space by himself. That's
right. He's like, I got room down here. Actually, everybody should go to my Instagram because there's a picture of me and Joey on there, and I think it's really funny because it chops off like the top of your head a little bit.
That's right. We don't need to see all of Joey. It's either knees up or like or chest down, right?
I think I actually squatted for that picture.
I know. I was like at chin level, so I was like, yeah, I feel tall.
There you go.
Anyway, Brett, what's up, man?
Absolutely. So yeah, if you haven't seen me on here before, obviously I always love joining you guys on here. But I am Brett Bjorquist. I got about 25 years in the industry. I started off, I'm on the West Coast, so at Good Guys, for anybody that knows from the local retail side. Ran stores there. I moved over to the manufacturing side. For quite a few years, I've worked for a variety of brands, Bowers & Wilkins, Logitech on the Harmony side, and some video conferencing, and Kaleidoscape most recently. And then this year, I actually went off and launched my own business. So my business is Market Maker. Thank you, Joey. And so
he's all like,
that's right. So yeah, I mean, I think from my industry perspective, and a lot of you guys may know me from Kaleidoscape, or again, different discussions in the past. I always love chatting in the forums. You can usually find me answering questions and things like that, and chatting with people, and always jumping on to stuff like this to kind of chat about with other people that are passionate. And so I decided, rather than working for one company and kind of just being constricted by the one company and developing their trainings and such, that I would go off and do it myself and start working with multiple companies. So it's been great. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. I still do some work with Kaleidoscape. So that really hasn't, changed from that perspective. If anybody has questions, always happy to answer them. But also working with Keith Yates. So, like I said, from the KYD side. So, if any of you guys have ever seen the Han Theater of the Decade or some of these other ones that are out there, he does some amazing work. And so, been doing that, and then also for on the integrator side. So, again, as we're trying to kind of bridge those gaps so that the integrators know how to properly talk about the brand. So if you guys walk into an integrator, you should get good service. I started working with Elliston Systems and Design, and they're out in Dallas, Texas, which kind of fits in with any Cedia discussions. And so, started working with him a few months ago. Great place, and yeah, we got to do a little bit of stuff. He gave me his kind of open season on his showroom to host a small event out there, and so we had about 50 integrators and manufacturers out there, and it was a good time. So, like I said, that's kind of what I've been up to, and hopefully now coming back from Cedia, I'll pick up a few more manufacturers and a few more integrators that'll let me have more things to talk about when I come on here, guys.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
cool. That's a win on so many different levels for you. So really,
yeah, and like I said, I mean, you guys know me. I just love talking about product, right? So whether I was working for them and getting paid for it didn't matter, But this allows me to make sure that companies, the manufacturers, are building out trainings that people need, both consumer and dealers, and that dealers are getting those trainings, and making sure that their teams are learning it. Because we've all had those situations, I think, where we walk into an integrator and we know more than they do, or it's hard to tell the sales pitch from the education side. And so that's really what I'm trying to do, is just make more of it education based.
Right on. Cool. Well, thank you. And Joey, you're up. What's up, man? How are things? What's new?
Things are going really well. I guess kind of like Brett, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Joey Peacock. I was a custom integration dealer for many years, and after that I remained in the tech business for a long time and have been recruited by some different industries over the years, just to kind of mix some stuff up. But several years ago, got back in the industry. Many of you know that I was with Indie Audio Labs for a long time, and Acris and Aragon still love the product, still highly promote the product. So I got to see Rick and Ted at the show a couple of weeks ago. Spent a little time with them. But in the meantime, I have moved over to Mad VR Labs. And so we're like the video processor of the decade right now, I think, based on dealers calling us and the interest. And we had not only our booth at Cedia, but our product was in 4 other locations.
There's like a pallet full of boxes that you guys brought in for the show.
It was, and having to gather them all up and box them all up on the way out. So we do video processing for any type of display, and it doesn't necessarily have to be front projection. If it's a display, it probably needs some help, and we're the company to help make it the ultimate. So
that's awesome. I've often thought that the processor, while really, really good for a projection system, really can shine with a large television that's doing HDR.
Yeah.
That's really where you can get a lot of love out of that system.
Exactly.
And really take advantage of it. That's super cool.
If you're doing large screen, whatever, whether it's flat panel, LED wall, or projection, whether it's 16:9 or scope, you still have black bar issues and a lot of other things that can benefit from the Envy product.
Yeah, I have the issue of, I usually watch everything on Kaleidoscape in the theater, so I don't really have to touch it. And I've got a fixed anamorphic lens, right? Mm-hmm. So I just have it set, and Kaleidoscape handles everything. But there are times where I want to watch something on the Shield, and then I'm pulling out like 18 remote controls, trying to figure all right, which one is this one? No, this one, no. Oh, that's the right stretch. Okay, now. Yeah.
The wife says change the channel, and 20 minutes later you have it changed.
That's right.
That's right. The screen's adaptive,
man.
Yeah.
I told her, I said, only Kaleidoscape. And if she keeps telling me we're going to stream something, I'm going to say, okay, we have to get this scaler. We got to get this, Mad VR's got to come.
If you want to watch anything other than Kaleidoscape, you got to buy a Mad VR.
That's right.
Isn't that funny? Oh my God. How can we even say that with a straight face? Oh gosh. All right. So, ostensibly this is an episode to talk about Cedia and the stuff that we experienced there, but really this is a chance for us just to hang out and chit chat and gossip because we have such fun doing it. And we're going to do a lot of that over the next coming minutes. But first I want to say hi to a few people out there. Hi-Fi Haven's with us. What's up, Hi-Fi? We got Double A in the house. Easy Home Theater Tech is here. Got to see him at Cedia, so that was really cool. First time meeting him in person. Jim is with us. It's always good to see Jim. Yeah, Jim's an awesome dude. Yeah. And some people have scrolled off the screen. So if you're out there, say hi, and we'll give you a shout back. But I want to get into the show, and I'm going to open things up with a question for each of you. What is one thing that you didn't anticipate seeing at the show, but you saw and thought was really cool, and other people should know about it, but they probably don't?
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of qualifiers on that statement. So something that you saw, something you saw that you thought was pretty awesome, and you didn't expect it. Like, okay, you go and I expect to see Kaleidoscape everywhere, right? Because it's awesome and people know it, right? So that's not like a new thing, even though it's awesome. This is like something, it's like not the wall from Samsung, right? Because everybody knows Samsung's going to put the wall up and it's going to be cool, and Sony's going to have their 248-inch whatever. Yeah. But what's something that you saw that was awesome that people might not know about? And Joey's about to say, go. You got it.
I have one. They were right down from our booth. It was a company called K Array.
Okay. Yep.
Just the letter K and and ARRAY. And guys, they had speakers that were like tiny, that you would think there's no way sound would come from these things. And so that was pretty amazing. They even had a rope speaker. And one of the things that they said that I can't remember if it was a golf course or some event or something like that, and they needed sound out there, and they had this rope speaker, so they used the rope speaker as kind of like the
rails or
to
Between
get people
the
out there.
bars.
Exactly, and there was music all the way out from the K Array. So it's just
cool.
crazy. It's guys, I'm telling you, the speaker was like, of course, now you had to have, some type of sub with it.
Sure.
But the speaker was like a frosted mini wheat cereal.
Of all the things to associate size with,
it was.
It was just say 1 inch by 3/4. It's got to be a frosted mini wheat.
It literally was, but there were some that they had that was like stacked together.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. It was unbelievable that it was a speaker and made sound. A dealer of mine in the Tampa area. We were talking about speakers one time, and he asked me about K Array, and I said I'd never heard of them. I think they're out of Italy. I mean, somebody can look it up and post it in the chat, but I'd never heard of them, and looked them up, and they were like kind of known for like tiny speakers, but to see them in person and to know that this thing is making sound was just insane. It was crazy.
That's really cool.
Very cool. I didn't see those, so
I didn't either.
Yeah, obviously application specific, right? Where you need sound all over the place, but obviously have a smaller, size requirement. But if you pair it up properly with the sub, you could get, pretty good, especially for outdoors or I can imagine if you're trying to set something up around a TV or, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Slightly different than your normal sound bar.
What you could do with that rope speaker is you could take that and then go find that a Sendo 50-inch sub.
That's right.
And
to go together perfectly.
Just go all the way around
all around the perimeter.
just all around the perimeter.
That thing was insane. Wasn't
that sub was absolutely
9,000 watts. I mean,
they never hook it up though.
Yeah.
Well, the challenge
you end up like in Back to the Future, man.
the challenge for them is that if they hook it up and play it, then everybody in front of them in booths are going to complain.
Well, yeah,
right, because it's infrasonic, but it's a giant wave of sound at super low frequencies moving through. So
yeah, it's it's getting more and more crazy in there. Obviously, 50 inches is big, and you have to have a fairly good sized room to hold it, let alone position it properly. But I know like on the KYD side, Keith and Andrew have been speccing a lot more infrasonic subs. And the reality is just there's still so much content below 10 hertz. That you can go back and forth on the 20 to 20, but you feel it, right? And it helps to pressurize the room and all those things that make those explosions and everything sound so much cooler. But you really got to have the room to store 50 inch.
Exactly.
They make like an 80 inch too or something.
Well, and they make a 24
and a 32.
That's what I was just gonna say. So 24 and a 32, which are probably more appropriate in in the realm of what people would put in there. I know Meyer has an infrasonic as well, but again, there's not that many that truly make an infrasonic sub. So it is one of those areas that I think people are playing more in lately.
Yeah, that 50 inch, if I'm not mistaken, and I did some research on it, I think it'd go down to 1 hertz.
1 hertz
at 120 SPL.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, and that's the issue is that you have to raise dramatically. You have to raise the the dB level as you go down in order to be able to get that sound, and it still has to be clean. But yeah, Ascendo, I won't use them as my product that I saw that was kind of cool, but they were. But they really jumped in this year, versus years past, because obviously they're again I believe German company, right? German or French?
German.
Somewhere over there.
Yeah, I think it's German, right? And so again, they make great speakers. They're willing to share a lot of their specs and things like that, similar to Meyer, that a lot of companies don't do, especially on the side. So if you're really building your system, kind of scientifically and you want to know what it is, those are one of the brands that, really build product the right way. So, I've been impressed with them. So, but the product that I saw that was really cool, and I had never seen one in person before, was the C-Seed. Foldable, right? I mean, so obviously, again, you got to have the right room for it. It's not going to be for everybody. Plus the price tag, not going to be for everybody. But just the fact, so if anybody hasn't seen it, I think it's like 142 inches, and then they have some other sizes in there. But basically, it's like 5 panels, it looked like, as it was going. So it looked like one big, OLED panel, kind of put together. You really couldn't see the breaks. And then all of a sudden they just, they fold it up and you just watch it accordion up, and then it folds downwards into the ground. And I just thought that was really cool because so many of us, I know as we jump in, when I move into my next house, it's got a big backyard, it's got the pool. So, I'm going to want to put a screen out there, right? You got to have those times in the summertime, people are coming out there. But being able to do it that way, where you can actually get a truly bright screen and, and a big screen out there and put it away. It's just some really, really cool tech out there. And nobody that I haven't really seen anybody else doing that. So, again, it's one of those where, OLED panels and things like that are becoming, and bigger kind of screens like the quantum media display, they're becoming more and more prevalent. Again, at higher price points, but hopefully that comes down eventually. Right now more commercial use, but being able to see one that goes into a backyard is really cool. And so I was glad I went to go see them on the last day of the show, like right before the end, and they were good enough to chat with me for a little bit and let me watch it kind of go up and down again. And so I thought that was a really cool product.
Yeah, they put those on yachts.
A
humongous TV that folds into the floor, the deck of a yacht. That's crazy.
And it's just, but yeah, I mean, there's those applications where I mean, I've seen, for years where we've been putting, a 65-inch in the ground, on in the house and things like that, right? Or coming out from the ceiling or, different pieces. So there's always been different mounts that could kind of do that, but nothing for that size, and the brightness and I mean, it was just, like I said, it was an impressive display on its own sitting there. And then when you watched it fold, I can't imagine.
That's crazy when that thing folds up.
Yeah. And then drops down into the ground, and then you put a nice little cover on it, and you wouldn't even know it's there. Yeah, it's gone. So I can imagine that on a yacht or, but yeah, I was really impressed with that. And then I saw the Christie booth. Man, was absolutely nuts. So
that was nuts.
So I went into that demo and I got lucky. We went in. We had an appointment earlier. So a lot of these big demos were all appointment based, and we skipped over the appointment. We couldn't do it. We were chatting with somebody else. And so we went over there, but luckily, if you're there with Keith Yates, you kind of get a tour whatever you want. And so they knew that we had kind of walked up and we were chatting with them for a little bit, and so we got there just before the show ended, and we were chatting. Show ended, and so we got private. Just the three of us were in there.
Sweet.
Actually, I had one guy with me, so there were four of us, but. And so we got a great demo. We were chatting for a while in there. It was just crazy to see it. But I've never seen, typically you're shutting off. If you shut off pixels, you can get a true black because the pixels are shut off. Mm-hmm. But to have, a full screen projection where the light is on, I've never been in a room where when the content stops or it was just a black screen, you literally could not see your hand 2 feet in front of your face.
Yeah, they had the whole room velvet covered in velvet, so it was
just sucking up the light.
Black. Yeah. I was the same way. We went in for a demo because again they had a Mad VR connected to it, and he says, "You guys want to see a demo?" And I'm like, "You dadgum right, man." And so he turned the lights off, and I'm like, "Well, why didn't he turn the projector on before we started this?" And all of a sudden, words came up on the screen. I'm like, holy cow, that projector is on. That is insane. And you're right. You could not see your hand in front of your face when it all went out. So
no, it was every time it went dark,
but the quality of that picture was
those projectors just hurt my soul because there's no way I'd ever be able to have one.
Yeah.
And they're so good,
I know they make that was the Eclipse. That version was the Eclipse, so it is super, super expensive. But when you see it, it's like it's worth every penny if you have the money.
If you had the money and you had the room and you had the, it's definitely one of those great products, like a Barco Thor, like or a Thor Plus, or I mean, there's those few products that, like you said, Jiles, we're probably never going to get to own. But I can appreciate the people that do, and because like I said,
I wish there was somebody here in the Denver area that had a really, really nice theater set up with an Eclipse, and just something that's like a step up from your commercial theaters, even a step up from like a Dolby Atmos theater that I could just go watch, even if I had to pay. Just go watch movies in, right? Just super high end kind of thing, maybe $40 a ticket or something. I'd be all about that.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd be all about that.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Since we're talking about the demo rooms, I think this is what people usually want to hear about, right? That's that's where all the fun is. Let's talk through the demo rooms there, and then maybe some of the hidden demo areas that not everybody knew about, because there were a couple of demo rooms that I don't think a lot of people went to see that were actually there. And so that's the Christie. Joey, you hung out in front of the Mad VR, Kaleidoscape, Trinov,
Mac,
Stonus Faber, Mac,
Seymour, Barco.
Yeah. Was it Seymour in there?
Yeah, there was a Seymour screen. Yeah.
Okay. And then the Barco,
almost 15 or whatever it was. Wide.
Yeah. So tell us about that one. I think probably more than anybody else here about it.
Yeah, it was. I'm going to tell you, it was amazing. And so behind the scenes, the room, and maybe you guys can help me say it. It's the Italian company. They used to be HTE, but now they're a fish.
Officina or
those people.
Those people. There you go.
yeah. But so the room was supposed to be there. It was a custom built room in Italy. And it was supposed to be in there Sunday morning because it was going to take a multi-day build out. On Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., there was still an empty floor sitting there.
Oh.
And that thing finally showed up, and 3 guys put that thing together. We had that was Tuesday morning at 7. It was empty at Wednesday afternoon at 7. We had a press conference in it.
Wow.
And I think we walked out of the room from doing the final tuning at 6:50 for the press conference to come in. But those guys built that whole thing out in insane. When we got there Wednesday morning, there were people sitting on the floor, and we got there early. And I said, "Did you guys go home?" And they're like, "Well, we stopped at 2:30, and we've been back, for about an hour and a half." So,
there you go. We crashed on the couches that were out.
Yeah, it was crazy. But the room, the actual room, the demo was in was about 21 feet by 15 feet wide. You can't quote me on that because one of the Italian guys gave it to me in meters, and I did my American math conversion on it
of 3.
So, yeah, so
take meter divided by 3.
Yeah, but it had the new barcode Nord, I think is how you pronounce it. And there's a projector, and it was crazy. That thing was really awesome. It can do so much light output. I think they turned it down to 55%.
Yeah, and
it was still super bright. Trend off altitude 32. Was 11.12.6 system with Sonus Faber's new arena speakers. So just the speakers alone was $269,000 in the room. Wow. It was crazy. 14,000 watts of Macintosh power. Kaleidoscope.
What did they have for input power on that? Any idea? Did they have like 10 30 amp circuits or something?
I went back to help some of the guys after we were doing teardown. I went back in the room in the back of that wall to help with some of the high stuff and to help them get it down. And, I was looking around and I couldn't figure out how they had all that power. There was a bunch of outlets in the floor. So I don't know if
so they had a direct line on each one.
It looked like it. And then they had some power strips. I don't know, they were conditioners, but they had power strips coming off of those that they had stuff plugged into. But there was
$699.
There was all the ear level speakers had 600 watt monoblocks, Macintoshes powering them.
A lot of power.
There was 12 subwoofers. There were 8 in the front wall, and there was 4 in the back wall.
Wow.
So the demos were just insane. I think it was AV Nirvana. The guys at AV Nirvana gave us, like the top 3 demo rooms at the place. Rave Publishing gave us somebody from there said it was the best demo they've ever seen in 35 years of going to shows.
Wow, that's high praise.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely a well-built room. I think the issue for any booth, is they're temporary, right? So you find most people and they'll put stuff in, and I've been in there where we've built them before, and you're building something, but it's just kind of walls and what can I throw up there because it's only going to be there for 3 days.
Yeah, not this time.
No, like I said, it was definitely some time and love was put into it. So it's always to see that, and I'll say the line was crazy, the entire time. That was every day I'd see a picture from somebody in my my feeds, taking a picture of the line and everything else. So it was definitely the
If you were down at the bottom of the floor where the next booth started, you were about an hour and 40-minute wait. and people stood in that line and did that for 3 days.
I stood through the line myself, so I had to miss the press event, right? Because I think I was doing Samsung at that time.
Yeah.
So I had to miss the press event, which I was sad about, but I couldn't say no to Samsung.
There you go.
Couldn't say no to them. But I did my turn in line, and it went fast enough. And the folks from Trinov came over and hung out for probably 30 minutes with me talking about stuff. So the time went really fast. And for me, the one thing that I want that room had that, well, I don't know if it's reasonable for me or not to want it, but man, I would love to have like an altitude 16, 20 channel now, with the little expansion board, and just drop a amplitude 16 on that. That would be, oh man, that would be the thing, because I could run my 9.4.4 system.
Yeah, but that's a 20 channel processor now, because you got it's 16.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what makes it really work well. Getting to that 20 channels for a lot of home theaters is kind of like, just they finally got past the line, because for most people 16 they fill it up and they have one channel for subs, right? So they have to do offboard processing on the subwoofers, but you take it up to 20 and you can have 4 independent external subs that you can control. It's a big deal.
No, I mean, good. Again, it's always just a killer product, and just like the Mad VR, Trinov was in a bunch of different booths, and like I said, I've always loved them, and John and the team over there, like I said, always do a great job, kind of helping everybody and things like that. And the other one I got to play around with a little bit, and was also in a lot of the demo rooms, was Storm. And they had a good show as well. Like I said, that's always that kind of, if you're going to look at the competitive side, those are usually the two that that come into battle on that. And like I said, I think both work really well. I've played around with Trinov a little bit more. So again, they always do such a good job in there. I always love the Dolby Atmos. You can actually see
the visualizer.
So good. So cool, right? You want to know where your Dolby Atmos is? You can actually see in there how often it's firing. But so those are always great. And then but the Ron Blouse and the guys over at Storm were always great as well. So I got to spend a little bit of time over there and see a few demos. Otherwise, I was telling Jiles earlier, I spent some time, I was helping them out. They had a Kaleidoscape system in there, but they didn't have, they were trying to do a few more things. So I bumped.
This is the next level audio room, right?
Yeah, this is the next level audio room.
Yep.
And so I spent a little time in there trying to help them out a little bit, and built some new scripts for them and stuff like that. But again, they spent, I know Chris Mata was kind of running the design of that room.
Yeah.
And did a great job. Again, I think they spent a lot more time on the walls and the, and acoustics and stuff like that than what I often see in a demo booth, because it is so hard to do temporarily. Yeah. The only thing that was there, I think, was just the the curtain door.
Yeah. That really hurt that room bad.
Yeah.
Oh. But they had enough bass going in there and stuff like that it still, it pressurized it well. But it's always tough, to get that set up, and get it built, and but they were running, fun demos in there, and and the speakers sounded good, as you're getting the direct, and the Hisense display looked good in there, and so again, it was fun little demo in there, and but I think it's tough. It sounded better than 90% of the demos that I usually see in booths like that, because they did spend more time on it. So, high praise for investing the time and resources into that. And I think the only other thing is, it's easier with a curtain to get people in and out, and as you're trying to get big speakers and subs in there. But I think anytime you can put a solid door in, you're just going to get that much, better response out of the room.
Yeah. So. The thing I really like that room, and that room actually, it might be like my third favorite at the show. And the reason it's probably not higher than that is just it didn't have a door.
Sure.
But what I appreciate about it, it was. What I appreciate about it though is it's like a room that real people could have.
Yes,
right,
absolutely.
I mean, that's stuff that, the next level speakers, they're affordable. They're
Yep.
they're not cheap or inexpensive, but they're gettable. The ultra short thread projector and the screen is gettable. The Storm is probably the most painful piece in there, and it, a lot of people who, if you look at processors from a audiophile point of view, say that the Storm is the best sounding processor on the market, right? So Storm is awesome. Anybody would be happy with it. Trino's awesome.
Yeah,
Anybody
nobody's gonna.
Yeah,
you can't complain about either one, but you can have.
They're both. They both lead, and one day, Accurus will have more availability on their room correction tool, which will help them, take that I think kind of spot up there with them. I think of the capability of the processors being up there, but they really need to get the aspect system more available for people. At least have all the dealers have one that dealers should come out and do it for you if you needed it. But that room it's like a real room. People, somebody could write a check for that and not cry.
If you swapped out anything, it would the Storm for an Anthem or a Marantz or something like that. If you're trying to bring that price point down even more affordable. But like you said, next level acoustics, the Hisense short projector. It was a very real room, right? One that you could do. I think Adam Pels did the acoustics or the tuning in that room, and again, they're all great products to be able to have in there. And I love seeing the big high end stuff, the Christie's or the Mac booth. But yes, obviously I'm not putting 14,000 watts of monoblock Macintosh power in my house tomorrow. But it kind of shows you what's possible, and then obviously those things drift down, right? Hey, this sounds great, but there's plenty of other Mac products or other products that are going to go in there. I was impressed. We did, like I said, we hosted an event, so offsite, but
so Easy Home Theater Tech said the Elliston Systems and Design Showroom was top class. I really can't say much about it as that I wasn't invited to go see it. So for me, I just write that off, and I'm like, it had to be bad if they didn't want
that's
to
right.
it.
And screw the people that put that one on. So
it had to be bad if they didn't want the press to cover it.
That's right. I'm sorry, Jiles. I honestly, because we obviously know that, I always love you and would have invited you on it, but I did not realize that you were out there. So I actively thought that you weren't. So I didn't throw out an invite, but yeah, it was off campus, but we try to have a good time with it. So I actually rented a limo bus and had it going back and forth between the convention center. And so it would pick people up at the convention center and then take them to Ellison's and then run them back. A lot of people obviously took Ubers because they were, going in and out, or were going to dinner afterwards. But yeah, no, we had, good food in there. We had a full bar in there. I made sure that anybody that was there got taken care of. And yeah, I thought the theater room was pretty dead on. So I'm sorry, Giles. I will fly you out to Texas and we will do something special for you.
Just do something in Denver next year, because I'll be here for sure.
But you know what? And that disappointed me, because generally speaking, Cedia is always in the same location for 2 years in a row. And they changed it because next year it's going back to Denver, which will be good for you. But they're kind of combining it with the commercial side of it, and I get it if they need to do that, but I'm like, why couldn't you do that still in Texas for one more year? Because I really wanted, this was the first year, I got put kind of on the spot for it, where it was just like, I only started working with Ellison's group, again, a month or two before the show. So it was just kind of like, hey, you're in Dallas. I'm looking about Google Maps. I'm like, you're like 12 minutes away, but how do you get people when there's so many, obviously the booths and the shows and the parties are in the convention center. How do you get somebody out? And so, yeah, I was trying to make it as easy as possible for people. But the room itself, I mean, I didn't have anybody that went in there and didn't think it was just an amazing experience. And so,
that's awesome.
That was my first time getting to actually hear a Keith Yates Theater live. And that is a slightly, it was built initially in about 6 weeks for Cedia the last time it was in Texas or in Dallas. And so We're doing some updates. We threw in a new projector. So Sony came in on the Friday before the show and installed the new 7000 ES projector, which looked great. I will say shout out to Chris Deering, who is often around in the various forums and, but doing, I called him up. He was showing up. And so he was going to be attending the party because I knew he was going to be there. and so I actually pinged him, the night before, or that morning and said, would you mind coming in? Because, when they installed it, they did a general, but they just did a remote calibration, right? Like, hey, does this look good? And it looked good, but I'm like, you know what? I know this can look better. And so Chris literally came in an hour before press came in, hour and a half, and set up his equipment and, and calibrated as fast as he could to get it in there. So, but it looked great. I was happy. I think that's a great projector. Without going into, Christie Eclipse and
that's different territory.
Yeah. So, but for still the top end for most of us, which would be, I think it's what, $28,000 projector. I thought it looked great, and even there, the group had a DPI projector before that, which was bigger and had a higher lumen output. But when we put this one in, I hadn't seen the previous one before because it was in there right before I got there. But all of them were saying, colors, everything else looks so much better. And that's just where I think a lot of people, you get so used to seeing, your projector for years on years, right? And as those bulbs, start to dim out, you don't realize what you're missing, versus what some of the new technology is. So, like I said, I thought the Sony projector looked great in there. All Meyer sound. So, Meyer Ashron, front for LCRs, HDs, I think for the surrounds. And then, that was a 22 speaker, system. So, again, and running off of Trinnov. So, again, just great. And then obviously, they didn't need an amplitude because all the Meyers are self-powered, amplified speakers. But no, it sounded great. The room looks cool. And it was impressive. So thank you to anybody that did get to show up and go to that. Like I said, it was a great party. I appreciate everybody that came in there and spent the time, especially to go off site and hopefully I will find a spot, Jiles, that's close to the convention center in Denver next year. And we'll hopefully try to do something similar. I know, Paragon.
Let me know how I can help. I'm here local. So if you need local hands, I'm always happy to help.
No doubt. Yep. So we'll get you out there. We'll have to get Mike out there as well, because I know you guys are often together. And
I think he's actually in the crowd today. There he is.
Mike, what's going on, man? Hope all is going well. So but yeah, so that was a blast of a show and a party, and kind of kicked my Cedia off. But yeah, like I said, it's always, anything you build on the show floor is tough because it's not permanent. The other one that I loved seeing was the Quantum display. I saw, like you said, Samsung's always going to have the wall. Sony always does theirs. But the Quantum Media one was pretty impressive for, how it was built out as well. And really just designed to get those bigger screens in there.
They keep rubbing it in. I mean,
you're getting me in trouble here. So,
he didn't invite me either. I saw him. He could have said, "Hey, why don't you come out to this thing? Hit Brett up."
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't think you were out there, but if other people knew you were there and went to the party, you're right. That's on them.
I even took a picture with him and we hung out and talked for nothing.
Yeah. As far as Cedia goes, there was, it's tough when you're working. And you have so many people trying to get into a booth like we had. It was hard to get away a lot of the times. But here's some, and I don't know if you guys saw him. I wasn't able to, but Sam Runco was there. You guys remember him?
Yep.
Did you see him?
I did.
I did not.
We had a drink at the bar together.
That's unbelievable.
It had been years. Like, I know him from when I started my career, right? When Sam was still, in charge of Runco.
Yeah, he was the godfather of projectors back in the day, man.
Yep. No, we saw him there, and it was him, and he goes way back with Noli from the Monster side. I saw
Noel
him.
was there.
I haven't seen him in years, which as a
Yeah.
lot of people know, I worked there for a while,
Mhm.
and so that was the first time I had seen Noel in years, and Sam Runco was there.
Yeah.
I
saw Joel Silver.
Yeah, I saw Joel
off
Silver.
over, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to go talk to him real quick. And then you get tied up and you look, and I never saw him again. But I did see him for a minute. So
that was the same. I had even at my party, I had people that I knew that were coming in, and like hopefully I kind of waved and said hi, but I was doing so many demos and we were running around that you're there to work, right? So it's a little different than Giles, you get to kind of run around and visit it all, right?
Enjoy it, yeah,
you get to enjoy it, and we're all sitting there kind of like, it's still always fun to see and get to see the people, but oftentimes you're on the floor from an hour before to an hour after, never leaving the booth, and so you don't really get to see as nearly as much. But I did get to see Sam. That was crazy. I mean, they just a bunch of them kind of came out to go see it, and
and the only reason I knew he was there is we were talking, and somebody say, "Did you guys get to see Sam?" And we're like, "Sam who?" And Sam Runco. I said, "Sam Runco's here." And then it was like the whole rest of the time I'm looking, and I can never got sight of him, but. It was tons of people there, and it was cool meeting everybody and catching up. Last year was kind of a bust because so many people pulled out the last minute. The year before was virtual. Ugh.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah. So
that was a rough.
Got to do what you got to do, though.
Yeah, I mean, last year I was out there,
in Indianapolis.
I mean, it wasn't busy. And obviously not by this year's standards and previous year's standards, but
there were only like 1,500 people last year.
Yeah, something like I mean, it was low.
It was like 14 something this year. I think.
And so but it was nice because you got to chat with people. So just like we were saying, you weren't as busy, so you could spend more time with people. I know I got to meet I met a lot of good people. Last year, only because I got to spend more time with them. So like I said, it was totally different, but it was actually fun from that perspective. But this year, I mean, you went to the bar every night. If you would, if you were staying at the Omni, I was staying a little bit further out. But I'd be over there because I was visiting other people, and I mean, the bar was packed every night. And so it was definitely a good time to be able to see a lot of the people that you don't get to see, and a lot of the industry people. So like I said, I think it's hopefully a good year for everybody, and I'm seeing at least some better pickups of like product being in stock and and some of those things. It's still a little tough, but
it's better.
Yeah, it's better than it was, especially on the AVR side, and just some of those products where the chipsets, they just couldn't get them. So I think that's great.
For us, we have great stock, and we don't have any problem with product delivery.
Yeah, I know Kaleidoscape's the same. I was chatting with them before, and they're like, "Yeah, no, we're ready to go." So, and like I said, we were able to get on basically a week's notice. I was able to get the 7000 ES from Sony. They're like, "Hey, yeah, we got a couple of these." So again, I think it's hopefully means that we're kind of turning a corner on some of those issues.
Yeah, I think so.
And making it open so that people can get the products that they want in a little bit more timely manner. It always sucks when you put that money down and you're like, this is what I want, then you're not getting it for 6 months or you're getting delayed getting built because you're waiting on one piece still.
Exactly.
And all those things are always kind of tough. So
yeah. Now a couple of other things I want to call out that haven't been talked about quite as much. The Sendo room was really good, right? Yep. I really enjoyed that demo. And
that room sounded really good.
It was one of the best sounding rooms there for sure.
Agreed.
And that was a Sendo, and Chris Seymour was there with his screen, and I can't remember the processor. I think it was a barcode projector. Right, Storm.
I think that was a Storm. Yeah,
Storm, and then
it was a Storm.
I think a barcode projector.
Barcode, Mad VR NV.
I will say, I know Joey just started there and so jumping in the deep end like the week before Cedia. Mad VR was everywhere.
We were everywhere, man. And Ryan, who is our lead tech support and our he does all the dealer training and stuff. He was getting calls. Hey, can you come over and help us with this? And then we've got like standing room only trying to get demos, and he's the guy that is doing the demos, and so that guy was
back in
wore
an hour.
out.
I
I remember Friday, like mid-afternoon, I came over to get a bottle of water, and I'm listening to him do another demo, and I'm like, oh my goodness, he can't hardly talk.
That's crazy.
He pushed through it. So.
Yeah. Now, one room that I think very few people got to see was the Epson room. So that was actually over in the Omni.
Okay.
And it was Epson, and it was all KEF speakers.
Okay.
And I thought they did a good job there. And they were using I forget the model. It's a 12,000 something with some letters. 12,000. Their new one. And it was great. And they had all their, old time crew that have been working there forever, showing everything off. And that was a really good one. And
now, were they in a room, or were they in the strip in between the hotel and the convention center? Like where Quantum them were.
They were. It was in that strip.
Yeah.
Right. So you just walked through it, but then they had like a whole room with stadium seating built into it and the whole deal, and it was off to the left. And then they had, they actually had two really large areas. One, they had a whole bunch of ultra short throws set up, and then another, they had a full demo theater built, which was really good. And I think they were doing invite only the whole time for the rooms. So a lot of press, a lot of dealers. So I don't know how you got on the list for that one, but I've been begging to do stuff with them, and they finally like, okay, come on, you can come take some pictures. I'm like, all right, yeah, I did it. And then B&O, Bang & Olufsen, had a far off-site 5-channel setup, a TV setup, showing off their new theater soundbar, which does all the processing and everything. And that was surprisingly good. They had their BO Lab 90s, I think, and some of the BO Lab 50s out there. And that was a really good one too. So, I mean, there are so many things that are kind of hidden away at the show.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle just to try and figure out how to see all the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, some of the stuff you don't even know because it's kind of appointment only, or, so you don't really know what's out there. But yeah, and B&O's doing a lot of new stuff with Origin. So, they kind of partnered up with Origin on some stuff. So, again, Origin had a great show too. They're always packed, and they take care of their dealers. And so, I always think, Jeremy and the team over there and Mark and all them are always great. And so, but yeah, they're doing some cool stuff on the B&O side, and I know,
and Velodyne.
Oh, that was huge.
That's big news. And Mansour had flown out, so he's the guy who bought the brand, and he's been looking at how to get back into the U.S. market for a couple of years now. And this was it. And he had all his stuff there. I was super happy to finally meet him in person. I've had a bunch of video conferences with him over the years, and first time to ever meet him in the flesh. He owns what's the big distribution company over there, or the big CI company? I can't. It's huge. It's based out of Germany. Big old company in Europe. I'll tell you the name when I remember it tomorrow.
or as soon as we cut.
That's right. As soon as we end, 2 minutes later. It was that.
And speaking of cutting, we are drawing to the end. We have just a handful of minutes left. So what I want to do is give each of you guys a couple minutes to close. Any closing thoughts for anyone out there. So Joey, you're up first. Any parting words of wisdom for the crowd? He's like, you put me on the spot.
Yeah, put me on the spot, man. It's Joey again. you said wisdom. So, I just, I was talking to somebody not long ago, and they were saying that, wow, you're a really good salesman. And I'm like, I'm not a good salesman. I am just so passionate for movies and music that it just comes off that way. I love what I do. I love this industry. I think somebody posted in the chat a little bit ago that it was like Cedia is like Christmas or something like that for adults, and it really is. The day before I left, I'm here in Florida, and we didn't know where that hurricane was coming.
Yeah.
And yesterday, the 10th, is the 4-year anniversary of us getting hammered. I mean, devastated, hammered by Hurricane Michael. And so we all have PTSD when we see a hurricane coming. And my wife is just a rock star, and she was like, "You are going to have such a great time. I mean, I know you're super excited." I'm like, "Well, I'm torn because I'm super excited, but I'm leaving you here by yourself." And but anyway, it was a great show, and I love this industry. And we laugh and talk about a $450,000 Christie projector, but you know what? I think everybody here, if they had the money and could afford it, would stick one in their house. When you see it, it's just, you can't unsee how good it is. But you know what?
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if you're putting whatever in there, a BenQ, a Optima, Epson, a JVC, or a Sony. It doesn't matter. A big flat screen, and to get an immersive experience with movies and music. I mean, there's just nothing like it. I mean, what else can you watch and see that can bring uncontrollable laughter or uncontrollable tears out like movies and music can? What did Easy Tech say?
Said it's great to meet another fellow tall guy.
I did see a lot of tall people. Ross at this Christie booth we were looking eye to eye, and his wife is like super short, and she says, "I looked over there the other day, and I thought to myself, look at those two giants over there talking to each other." So yeah. Anyway, it's just, I love the industry and I love what I do, and I'm just crazy blessed to get to do this. And I'm a big fan of Jiles, and I've been hanging out here with him for a long time, and a lot of you guys are in here with the chat. And I think the world of Brett. He's such a super nice guy, and it was great to meet Jiles in person finally and get a selfie with the guy. So you definitely got to go to, where'd you post it, on your Instagram account, Jiles?
Instagram.
Yeah.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, Brett, your turn. Any parting words of wisdom for the crowd?
Yeah, I think it comes into the same way. We love to talk about, the high-end stuff. I know we talked about, Christie's and C-Seeds and all those things. And, the thing, or Kaleidoscape even, and Mad VR. I mean, none of these are inexpensive products, right? And they're great. I think that, they all have a true value, and I think anybody
Absolutely.
that plays with them sees that. That's why Kaleidoscape was in every booth, and Mad VR was in so many booths, and Trinov was in so many booths. And like I said, brands like Ascendo and stuff like that are coming out. I think it's important because it keeps, that new passion alive in a lot of those areas.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this industry is great because whether you're DIY or you're bringing in somebody professional, we can all enjoy what we got. Whether that's a 55-inch, with a sound bar,
right.
or a $400,000 theater. It's like, bless everybody for what you can get.
Yep.
I always tell everybody, look at it aspirationally. These things help to drive down the market, so other things become more affordable for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No different than cars, no different than anything else. And
exactly.
Like I said, I'm always happy with whatever I have, and I'm always looking at something new.
Amen.
And that's what Cedia is all about. If any of you guys, it is in Denver next year. So, for any of the listeners that are out there, same as I've said for, last year, this year, I always have somebody that takes me up on, hey, I can get you free passes or whatever else.
Yep.
It should be shared. Obviously it's a little bit more of an industry show, but people that are looking for it, if you get a chance to go to one, even if you had to fly somewhere, there's plenty of other things to do in Denver. There's plenty of other things to do in Dallas. And, it really is kind of a fun thing to do. And just like CES, I always say everybody should try to do it, once.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I like I said, I again, 25 years in this industry, I try to give back, to the community. Jiles is great. And I'll tell you guys, because we were literally just having this conversation yesterday where Joey and I had been talking before the show, and Joey and I met on this show, before I know we did something in like January this year. But, before that, it was Joey always commenting in there, right? And that's really how we got in here as well. And so, we came back. I didn't get to see Joey. I didn't realize Jiles was there, so I didn't get to see him either. And I'm like, it's post Cedia. I got a chance to breathe for a moment. Jiles, what are we doing, man? When are we getting on?
Here we are.
He goes tomorrow. And then we were giving him crap because we're like, hey, if you don't give us an answer, because Joey and I happen to be free and Jiles is probably working.
Yeah.
Doing real stuff. And so we started throwing him out some memes and some other GIFs. And but he came back on and he goes, yeah, okay, you're on tomorrow. And we're like, shit.
What?
Here it is.
I was shocked too, man. Yeah.
But no, we appreciate it, Jiles. Like I said, these are the right shows. These are the shows that I enjoy doing. Where we're not really talking about our brands. Again, even Joey's not talking about his brand. For my stuff, it's just cool stuff that we saw. We love to be able to share it. You got a great audience. That again, we all know people that have been in there. And I think that's what it's all about. Again, so I always tell people, if you do need to reach out, again, even if you have questions for whatever on the consumer side, or a dealer side, always feel free to, reach out. I can be grabbed at Brett so it's MRKTMKR. So marketmakernovals.com. And like I said, a lot of people got my number in this and that. So again, you're always welcome to reach out. Always happy to answer questions for the industry stuff. Because again, we get an opportunity to see some really cool stuff, with the three of us here, going out to Cedia. And I think it's our duty to kind of share that information with other people and, kind of let them know what's going on. And, not just the cool high end stuff, but what does that turn into, with OLEDs and all that kind of stuff. And, no matter where you're buying, there's really cool technology out there now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool. Brett, Joey, thank you guys so much for joining us. Everybody out in the audience, thank you for spending time with us.
It was fun, guys.
Yeah.
As always.
And I think with that, we'll call it. And for everybody that wants their weekly fill of content, Mike and I will be back in about 15 minutes. And we're going to talk all about movies and TV and this House of the Dragon episode that was just off the hook. So see you guys in a bit. See you guys in just a bit.